Good afternoon, everybody. What is going on? I am jeffgrantMEDIA, and today's real user review, we are going to take a look at the Crush on Retro 301 Engineer Boot. Now, Crush on Retro did send me these as a sample for review, but all the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone. I did not share this content prior to publication. They will see this when you do. So the Engineer Boot, this is it's kind of a staple in the menswear, heritage wear sphere. It's got deep roots in the workwear industry, then for bikers, as well as kind of the greaser look as well. But there's kind of a high cost of entry to get into the Engineer Boot. Now, it is a simple looking boot, but it's not that simple of a boot. And because it's not as popular as some other boots, not nearly as many manufacturers make it, which is why usually you're looking at about $650 to $700 just to get a entry level, if you will, entry level boot. Now, I'm not going to say some of the boots are entry level, because there's plenty of boots that are in that like $600 or $700 price range that I would love to have, and I don't, because I personally can't afford a $600 to $700 boot. But that is a bit cost prohibitive, especially if you don't know. Even if you can afford that $600 or $700 price point, do you want to spend that money if you don't know if you're going to like the style? Because it is a bit of an interesting style, both to get fitted right and to where it looks, when you're looking straight down on it with a pair of jeans on, it looks completely different than any other boot you've had on. So sometimes the price point is a bit cost prohibitive for people to even try an Engineer boot. So there's like two companies out there that have an, I guess, entry level boot that is actually affordable in an Engineer boot that you can actually get and try, and Crush on Retro is one of them. So this is the 301 Engineer boot, and one thing I will say is my sole is a little bit different than what you can currently get on the 301. The sole on my boot is a Vibram 269 sole, where the current production line is a Vibram 430 lug sole. And that would be simply because they ran out of the 269 sole, so they switched to 430. And I'm not gonna lie, while I do like the lower profile, the 430 I believe is a mini lug, so it doesn't really give you that extra height or bulk in the sole. So I kind of like that 430 sole. But the reason I chose the 301 is because it has a little bit of a lower profile. It doesn't have a big toe on it. It has that lower sole. So I like this personally because I like that little bit lower profile on my Engineer boot. I don't like a big, thick, chunky toe on my Engineer boot, and I don't like a big lug sole. I think this looks a bit more classic, and overall, this is what I like. They also offer these in a couple different leathers. Mine is the black T-core leather, so with time, the black will kind of rub off, if you will, and you see some of those brown tones coming through and give it a really, really nice patina. Now, I have only had these boots for about a month or two now, but I have worn them a fair amount. We're not seeing any of that black rubbing off and that brown coming through, but the more you wear them, the more that's going to show, and you're going to get that really, really cool patina coming through. So how comfortable are these? I'm finding them to be fairly comfortable. The one thing I will say, and it's not just this boot, I will preface this by saying that this happened on other boots, lace-ups, as well as pull-on, slide-on boots. I find the instep in my right boot to be a bit hot. That is an issue that you will find with a lot of Engineer boots, is if you do have a high instep, they will be a little hard to get on and a little uncomfortable until you break it in. Now, one thing I saw the shop on Vancouver said, I didn't try this yet, I'm contemplating trying it though, is you fill the boot up with hot water and you just let it absorb so it's saturated and it's warm. Then you put the boots on and do some deep squats, and that's supposed to stretch the arch out. I haven't gone that far yet. What I do is I take a paper towel with some warm water. I will stick my hand in there and I will wet the instep, and then I'll put the boot on, do those deep squats, and then I will take the boot off. And I have these garbanzo beans. This can fits pretty perfectly in there. So I'll basically wedge this down in there and leave it in there overnight. And I'll leave it there for a day or two until I kind of stretch that instep out. Now, for me personally, it's only the right foot. My left foot, it's not an issue. So my left boot fits fine, completely comfortable. I didn't have to stretch it out at all. So the left boot is totally fine. The right boot, because I have a high instep, I found the right boot was a little tight. And while I could still feel it a little bit, if I don't wear the boots for a period of time, I kind of feel that little bit of tightness. But if I wear this a couple of days in a row, they feel okay. But once they're on, They're quite comfortable, and I've done something in these that I've probably not done in any other pair of boot, and that was run probably about a quarter to a half a mile chasing Miss Hazel Fantastic, because we have fully learned how to ride a bike, but we were learning how to ride a bike, and we have this little bar that it's not there anymore, had this little bar that was in the back of her bike that I can hold while I can balance her. And I had that bar on, and I usually kind of just walk briskly next to her and have to grab the bar, but she was learning how to go, and she just took off. And she was still scared, and I was a little nervous too. So I was running back and forth with these boots on. Had not intended to be running. I would have worn a sneaker if I was, but I did end up running quite a bit with these on, and I was fine. I didn't get any shin splints or anything like that. Now, granted, it was like a quarter, maybe a half a mile. We were just going back and forth on this long pathway in a cemetery. But yeah, I was able to run back and forth in these boots, and they were pretty comfortable to wear. And I've never done that. I will say I've run in a pair of boots, but not like more than a sprint to do something, one of my old jobs. If a situation arose, I had boots on, I had to run to get there, but not consistently running back and forth. So they were quite comfortable for me to run chasing Miss Hazel Fantastic on her bike. And yeah, feet were still comfortable at the end of the day. Now, the only issue I'm having with these, and it's because of the shaft width. I've had this happen on more roper boots that also have a narrower shaft. I'd say for an engineer boot, these probably do have a bit of a narrow shaft. So even still, I can get them on, but I have to use the plastic bag trick. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can go with simple, take two plastic bags that you got from the grocery store, stick one in the front, stick one in the back, slide your foot in, pull it out, put them back in. You're essentially making a little tube that lets your heel in the arch of your foot, or the instep of your foot, slide through easily. But one of the things that I've been doing is I took a heavy duty Ziploc bag and I just cut the bottom off it, and I use that to stick in the boot to kind of make a tube. And it just seems like my foot slides a lot easier, and it's reusable, and it's not as loud. And then once the boot is on, I slide the bag out, I slide it over the boot, and then I can then insert it into the next boot to put my other foot on. And I've been finding that method to be the best method. I've tried it with like poly mailers and stuff too, but they're a little bit too thick, so they don't work nearly as well. They're not as slippery. So just a standard plastic Ziploc bag that you just cut the bottom off, turn it into a tube. It's reusable. It's still the same one that I've been using for like the past month, so it lasts quite a bit longer. It's not as crinkly as those obnoxious little bags, those plastic bags you have from the grocery store. And if you live in a state that no longer offers those plastic bags, there's your viable option. Just get a Ziploc bag, cut the bottom off. It's reusable. Just kind of throw it in a drawer, throw it next to where you keep your boots, put them on and off. And that's really the only point of note or negative, would be that even after extensive wear, I still have to slide a bag in the boot to get them on easily and comfortably. But other than that, they're actually been very, very comfortable to wear. Now, there are different options for pricing with this boot. If you go with the T-Core cowhide with the Vibram 430 sole, you're looking at about $315 USD. But you can also upgrade your leather to a Horween Chrome XL with the Dublin Essex leather that will come in at $480 USD. In addition to that, the Crush on Retro will allow you to modify the boots by putting a different sole or something on there, potentially different leather options as well. You just have to reach out to them first, email them, and they'll give you basically a quote on price of how much it's going to cost, because these are MTO boots. So when you order, they're made to order. And I think it's a 2 to 4 week wait to get them. Now, these are also made in China. So you will be getting them shipped to you from China. I think mine took about a week to get here, which seems pretty standard for basically any non-North American company if you're located in North America. And now the quality of the boots, I mean, you can see mine are a little gunked up because I had them on, but they're wearing well. The soles, they have the little wear that I get. That's the way I walk from my gait. But you can see both of them have a little bit of wear, but for how much I've actually worn these, they're not worn that bad at all. There's still a ton of meat there. There's only a little bit of wear on the heel, but the rest of the sole, like the ball of my foot, completely fine. Didn't wear through any of that. But yeah, they're working out really, really good. The one thing I will say I did do is I did switch out the insoles in them. I did not like the insoles. They were very thin foam, so I put a pair of veg tan leather insoles in there they've kind of molded to my foot. So that's the only thing that I did personally to modify the boots, was I pulled out the insoles and I put a pair of veg tan insoles in. But yeah, they've been fitting and wearing good, and for like $315, it's a really, really good point of entry, half or less of some other boots if you're looking at engineer boots. And that's the thing that, for me, the reason I didn't get a pair of engineer boots, I had a pair of harness boots way back in the day, and I didn't really like them. A harness boot doesn't have the belt. It has more of a D-ring right here, and then a strap comes over, and you can't adjust them at all in the Instep. So the engineer boot is a little bit more comfortable in my mind, and I also find that many of the harness boots, they also have that higher, beefier toe, which I don't like. So an engineer boot is kind of a classic, nice look, but very, very cost prohibitive to try them out. So even if you can afford an engineer boot, you might not want to try them because you don't know if you're going to like them. And the Crush on Retro is a pretty good point of entry because you can get an affordable engineer boot. They also have a bunch of different stuff. Well, Crush on Retro makes a lot of different jackets that are pretty cool. They make some denim, they make shirts, they make pants, they make a bunch of different styles of boots. They have several different engineer boots. And basically what they are is a American heritage style clothing brand just based out of China. So they're taking a lot of that vintage workwear look and vibe, and that's what they're making. That's with a lot of products. And they have a pretty big catalog. But yeah, so far I'm finding these to fit pretty good. The only thing is they do have a bit of a narrow shaft, so I'm still finding it's easier to just slide them on with a plastic bag. I can get them on at this point without, but it is just easier to do so. The right boot instep has stretched out quite a bit, where I can now wear them pretty comfortably again. If I wear them a couple days in a row, they stretch out, they loosen up. Yeah, I don't feel it at all. But if I put these on after, like, say 3-4 days of not wearing them, it's a little tight at first, but you know, after an hour, maybe less of wearing, just moving around, it stretches out and it's fine again. Eventually we're gonna get some really, really cool patina with this T-core leather, which is why I chose the T-core. I like that patina, that brown kind of coming through with the T-core. So, you know, I'm gonna have to put some more miles on these boots to get that to pop out a little bit more. And yeah, thus far, very satisfied with the Crush on Retro 301 engineer boot. They do have a couple different options. If you do want something with a chunkier sole, they have a couple more options out there of engineer boots. So take a look at the website. There is a link down there to the Crush on Retro site if you want to check out any of their offerings. But so far the quality, care, and craftsmanship is pretty spot on. I don't have any issues with that. The boots are holding up just fine. I didn't see anything out of place. There was no nicks that were, well, that I didn't put in them. There weren't any nicks or scuffs or stitches misplaced when I first got them. Only the wear from me wearing them. And yeah, thus far, very, very happy with them. Quality, care, and craftsmanship is there, and I'd say it is certainly worth that $315. I like the leather. The leather is comfortable enough to wear. Yeah, they're breaking in and wearing nicely and comfortable to run around in and wear all day long. So if you're looking at them, it could be a pretty good entry engineer boot for you. And check out some of their other wares. They do have a lot of jackets that are pretty cool. There's a couple that I've had my eye on, and they do have a bunch of other boots and shoes that you might find interesting. So go ahead and check out their website. They have a pretty extensive catalog of offerings. There's basically something out there for everyone in the heritage wear, menswear field. So check it out. Yeah, I've been pretty satisfied with my boots, so I'd be happy with checking something else out from Crush on Retro. So with that, if you like this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Smash that big red button and ring that bell right next to it so you get notifications the next time I post a brand new video. Good night.